morning sun was bright, the sky painted with soft streaks of gold as Emily Hart sped down the quiet country highway. Her sleek black BMW glided over the smooth road, music playing faintly as she rehearsed her speech in her head. She was supposed to be the maid of honor at her best friend's wedding. Everything had to be perfect, just like her. But perfection, as always, had its limits. Without warning, a loud clunk shattered the peaceful drive. The engine coughed, sputtered, and then died altogether. Emily's hands tightened on the steering wheel, her frustration bubbling instantly. "No, not today," she cried, slamming her palm on the dashboard. She stepped out, her high heels clicking sharply against the warm asphalt. The smell of oil and burnt rubber filled the air. Emily glared at the hood as though sheer annoyance could make it work again. Her designer dress fluttered in the breeze, an expensive outfit for a woman now stranded in the middle of nowhere. Minutes passed before she heard the sound of another engine, rough, old, and growling. A pickup truck pulled to the side of the road. Out stepped a young man in dusty overalls, a baseball cap backward, a towel slung over his shoulder. His hands were stained with grease, his smile calm and unbothered. "Need a hand, ma'am?" he asked, his voice kind but confident. Emily's gaze flicked over him, went from his dirty boots to his rough hands. She forced a polite smile. "I think I'll just call a tow truck. But thanks. You might ruin your hands even more." Her tone carried a hint of superiority. He chuckled softly, unfazed. "That's kind of what they're for." Before she could protest, he walked to her car, lifted the hood, and got to work. His movements were fast, skilled, focused. Emily stood back, half annoyed, half curious. In 15 minutes, the engine came back to life with a proud roar. He wiped his hands, stepping back. "You're good to go. I'm Jake." "Emily," she replied shortly, pulling out her wallet. "How much?" He shook his head. "Just doing my job." "Drive safe, Emily." As she drove away, her laughter filled the car. Quick, defensive, and uncertain. "A mechanic," she murmured to herself, shaking her head. But no matter how far she drove, his calm eyes and gentle smile refused to leave her thoughts. By the time Emily arrived at the wedding venue, the sun was beginning to set, bathing the countryside in soft orange light. The place looked straight out of a movie. A rustic barn decorated with fairy lights, flowers woven through wooden arches, and laughter spilling into the cool evening air. Emily took a deep breath, smoothing her dress, trying to shake off the morning's irritation. The car trouble, the mechanic, everything. She needed to focus on the celebration ahead. Inside, the atmosphere was alive with music and chatter. Old friends greeted her warmly, glasses clinked, and the air smelled of roses and fresh bread. Emily was just starting to relax when a familiar voice drifted over from the other side of the room. "You made it after all." She froze. That voice. Slowly she turned, and there he was. Jake. The same mechanic from the roadside, but now transformed. No overalls, no grease-stained hands. He stood in a crisp white shirt with rolled-up sleeves, his hair neatly combed, his grin effortless. "Wait. What are you doing here?" she asked, blinking in disbelief. He chuckled. "I could ask you the same thing. The groom's my cousin." Her mouth fell open slightly. Of all the coincidences in the world, this one felt almost cruel, or maybe strangely fated. "Your family?" she asked, still trying to piece it together. "Yep," Jake said, hands casually in his pockets. "I own the local auto shop in town. Most of the guys working there used to be in trouble before I hired them. Keeps them out of the streets." Emily's expression softened. "That's actually really admirable." He smiled at her sincerity. "Guess there's more to these dirty hands than you thought." His teasing tone made her cheeks flush. For once, she had no sharp reply. As the night unfolded, they kept crossing path. During dinner, on the dance floor, by the dessert table. Every glance lingered a little longer than it should have. She found herself laughing at his jokes, drawn to his simplicity and warmth. Later, under the soft glow of the fairy lights, Jake extended his hand. "Dance with me?" Emily hesitated only a moment before taking it. As they swayed slowly to the music, the world around them blurred. And for the first time in a long while, Emily felt her heart beating for something real. The music had shifted to a slower rhythm, and laughter echoed softly through the night. Emily and Jake had danced until their feet ached, but neither seemed ready to step away. The barn lights shimmered behind them and the air carried the sweet scent of rain in the distance. Then, without warning, the clouds opened. A soft drizzle turned into a sudden downpour. Guests screamed and ran for cover, holding their dresses and tuxedos as they rushed inside. Emily laughed as she lifted her skirt, sprinting across the field, only to find herself ducking under a small gazebo with Jake right beside her. Rain drummed gently on the wooden roof above them. The world outside blurred into silver streaks of water and glowing light. For the first time, they were alone. Jake leaned against one of the posts, his shirt damp, hair tousled, a faint smile playing on his lips. "You really thought I was just some small-town mechanic, didn't you?" he said with a teasing glint in his eyes. Emily looked down, the rain dripping from her eyelashes. "I did," she admitted honestly. "When I saw your hands, I thought they belonged to someone ordinary. But I was wrong." He chuckled softly. "Ordinary isn't always a bad thing." She met his gaze, her tone softening. "No, it's not. You fix cars, but you help people too. That's more than most of us do in offices and boardrooms." Jake looked at her, a quiet warmth in his eyes. "I don't fix cars, Emily. I fix lives. I was one of those kids once, lost, angry, no one to believe in me. Then someone gave me a chance. I just decided to pass it on." His voice was simple, but every word carried weight. Emily felt something shift inside her, like the world had suddenly slowed, forcing her to really see him. Not the grease, not the rough edges, just him. A single drop of water slipped down his cheek, and without thinking, she reached out to brush it away. Her fingers lingered on his skin. "Maybe I needed to slow down long enough to see you," she whispered. Jake smiled, gently taking her hand. "Then I'm glad your car broke down." She laughed quietly, her heart thudding against her ribs. Outside, thunder rolled. But inside that little gazebo, the storm felt strangely calm. The rain had softened into a gentle mist by the time the wedding celebration began to fade. Lanterns flickered under the cloudy sky, and distant laughter echoed as guests said their goodbyes. Emily stood quietly by the garden path, her heels in her hand, her once perfect curls now soft and loose from the rain. Yet for the first time in years, she didn't care about appearances. She felt alive. Across the lawn, Jake was loading tools into his truck, preparing to leave. She watched him for a long moment, his strong hands, steady movements, the quiet strength in his shoulders. There was no arrogance in him, no pretense, just calm sincerity. Taking a deep breath, she walked toward him, her dress brushing against the wet grass. "Jake," she called softly. He turned, surprise lighting up his eyes. "You're still here," he said with a smile. "I didn't want to leave without saying something." Her voice trembled, but she didn't stop. "This morning when my car broke down, I laughed at your hands. I thought you were someone small, someone ordinary. But I see now those hands fix more than engines. They hold kindness, patience, and strength, and they made me realize how wrong I was about everything." Jake stared at her silently, his expression unreadable. Emily stepped closer, the light from the truck casting a soft glow across her face. "Jake," she whispered, her heart pounding. "When you fixed my car, you said your hands were made for that. But I think they're meant for something else too. To hold mine. Not just for tonight, but for life." Jake blinked, taken aback. "Emily, are you saying—" "Yes," she said, tears glistening in her eyes. "Will you marry me? For real?" For a long heartbeat, the world stood still. Then Jake broke into a slow, radiant smile, the kind that reached his eyes. He walked closer, took her trembling hand in his, and said softly, "Yeah, for real." The rain began again, light and tender as he pulled her into his arms. Lanterns glowed around them, the night shimmering with quiet magic. Two people from different worlds, one heart, one promise, one forever. Emotional ending message for YouTube. She laughed at his rough hands. But those same hands ended up holding her heart forever. Sometimes love doesn't arrive in perfection. It arrives in simplicity, kindness, and fate. If this story touched your heart, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel Soul of Kindness, where every story reminds you that love still lives in kindness.